What if the woman you thought you knew, the one who built her entire brand around radical honesty, was actually hiding something far more complicated than she ever let on? Hollywood has seen feuds come and go, but what Lisa Raye McCoy and Tisha Campbell have recently said about Jada Pinkett Smith isn't just celebrity drama. It cuts to the heart of something much deeper: authenticity, loyalty, and what really happens behind the closed doors of Hollywood friendships. Stay with me, because this story goes further than you might expect. Setting the stage, Jada Pinkett Smith has spent years positioning herself as Hollywood's most transparent celebrity. Between her Facebook Watch show Red Table Talk, her tell-all memoir Worthy, and her stunning revelation about her separation from Will Smith, she has built an entire public identity around openness. She's invited millions of people into her most vulnerable moments, or so it seemed. But here's the question that Lisa Raye and Tisha Campbell are implicitly raising. Each in their own way, is radical public honesty the same thing as being real with the people closest to you? Because according to those who have moved in the same circles as Jada for decades, those two things are very, very different. Who are these women, and why does their word carry weight? Before we go any further, it's worth understanding exactly who Lisa Raye McCoy and Tisha Campbell are, because their credibility matters here. Tisha Campbell is not just a household name from Martin or My Wife and Kids. She is a woman who has survived an abusive marriage in the public eye, fought back from financial devastation, and rebuilt her life with extraordinary resilience. She does not speak carelessly. When Tisha Campbell says something publicly, it usually comes from a place of deeply personal experience. Lisa Raye McCoy, known from The Players Club and All of Us, has similarly lived a very public and turbulent life. From her high-profile divorce from the Prime Minister of Turks and Caicos to navigating Hollywood as a Black woman who refused to be quietly sidelined, Lisa Raye has a reputation for saying exactly what she means. Consequences be damned. These are not women looking for a quick headline, which is exactly what makes what they've said so worth examining. What Lisa Raye said, and what she really meant. Lisa Raye has made no secret of her feelings about a certain type of woman in Hollywood, the kind who performs vulnerability publicly while allegedly maintaining a very different persona in private. In various interviews and social media commentary, Lisa Raye has alluded to the idea that some of Hollywood's most celebrated real women are actually masters of controlled narrative. They decide what you see, they decide what the story is, and everyone around them either plays along or gets written out. When discussions turn specifically toward Jada Pinkett Smith, particularly in the wake of Jada's memoir revelations about her marriage and her public acknowledgement that she and Will had been privately separated since 2016, Lisa Raye did not hold back her skepticism. The core of her criticism was this: if you claim to be the queen of honesty, why did the people who loved you most find out the truth the same way strangers did? Through a book and a press tour. That's a pointed observation. And it resonated with a lot of people, not because they wanted to tear Jada down, but because it named something that many had quietly felt for years. Tisha Campbell enters the conversation. Tisha Campbell's commentary added a different but equally compelling dimension. Tisha has spoken candidly about the nature of female friendships in Hollywood, how they can appear deep and sisterly on the surface while actually being highly transactional underneath. She's referenced situations where women in powerful positions use the language of empowerment and sisterhood while quietly pulling the ladder up behind them. Without always naming Jada directly in every instance, Tisha's words have landed in a cultural moment where Jada is the central figure in a very public conversation about authenticity, the timing, the specificity of the observations, and the pattern of behavior being described. Many viewers and commentators have connected these dots clearly. What Tisha seems to be pointing at is a phenomenon well known inside Hollywood but rarely discussed so openly: the curated vulnerability. The idea that some public figures have mastered the art of appearing emotionally available and deeply human while actually exercising enormous control over their image, their relationships, and their narrative. And when that control slips, when the real story comes out, the people around them are often left blindsided and quietly hurt. The Jada Pinkett Smith question. So what do we actually know about Jada's behavior versus her brand? Jada built Red Table Talk as a space for radical transparency. She sat across from Jordan Tiffany Woods after the Tristan Thompson scandal. She discussed infidelity in her own marriage. She talked about her struggle with alopecia. On the surface, this is extraordinary openness, but the memoir complicated things. When Jada revealed that she and Will had been living separately since 2016, it wasn't just a revelation. It was a reminder that for nearly a decade, the public was watching what appeared to be a united marriage, hearing Jada speak about intimacy and partnership, while the reality was something entirely different. Will Smith had not even publicly confirmed knowledge of the full timeline. The people who had considered themselves close to Jada, who had perhaps confided in her during those years, sought her perspective on relationships, trusted her advice, suddenly had to reckon with the idea that she had known something profoundly important and chosen strategic silence until the moment was right for a book launch. That is what Lisa Raye and Tisha Campbell appeared to be reacting to. Not necessarily malice, but a kind of calculated self-preservation dressed up in the language of healing and authenticity. Why this resonates far beyond celebrity gossip. Here's where the story becomes genuinely interesting, because this conversation isn't really just about three famous women. It's about something universal. We live in an era of performed vulnerability. Social media, podcasts, and personal brands have made emotional openness into a kind of currency. People build entire audiences on the promise of realness, and the line between genuine honesty and strategic disclosure, sharing just enough of your truth to appear authentic while protecting your actual self, has become nearly invisible. Lisa Raye and Tisha Campbell are essentially asking a question that applies to all of us. When someone controls every detail of what you're allowed to know about them, can you really call that honesty? Or is that just another more sophisticated form of image management? It's a question worth sitting with, because most of us have encountered this dynamic, not in Hollywood, but in our own friendships, workplaces, and families. The person who talks constantly about their feelings but somehow never takes accountability. The leader who champions transparency but makes every significant decision behind closed doors. The friend who always seems to know your business but carefully guards their own. What happens when the curtain falls? The response to Jada's memoir and the subsequent commentary from women like Lisa Raye and Tisha Campbell reveals something important. People are not upset that Jada's marriage was complicated. Nobody expected perfection. What created the real emotional rupture was the realization that the transparency they thought they were being offered was, in many ways, a performance, and that performance served Jada's purposes more than it served any genuine connection. That's a hard pill to swallow when you've invested years of emotional trust in someone's public narrative. Conclusion: the price of the curated self at the end of all of this. Beneath the Hollywood glamour, the book deals, the interviews, and the social media commentary, there is a genuinely important lesson. Authenticity is not just about what you choose to share. It's about when you share it, why you share it, and whether the people who have trusted you with their time, loyalty, and love are treated with the same honesty you perform for millions of strangers. Lisa Raye and Tisha Campbell, whatever their personal motivations, have put their names on a very human grievance. The feeling of being kept in the dark by someone who built a public brand on bringing things into the light. Whether Jada Pinkett Smith is the villain of this story, the misunderstood protagonist, or something far more complicated, that's for each of us to decide. But the conversation itself, that's one Hollywood finally seems unwilling to let go of quietly. And maybe that's exactly how it should be.